we're opening up, as we say, to bring it to you as even Rastafari, you know, because some people have the feeling, say, well, we're not really the creed because them hear so much fire burn around. But you have to burn the fire still. You know, see, but there's certain things that we listen to. Because you see, how me say Rasta now, Rasta is not a written doctrine. So nobody can come hard and fast by you because it's an experience and evolution that we go through and a process that carry to this and it going to carry on. And there's certain things that we can't laga with we if it don't work for we. We can't say through the elders them, they say that from long time. We have to say it too, or through a man said this or that it's supposed to be, because we have our own mind to reason out certain things. And it's very important that we reason. Very important that we reason, because it's reasoning that create this philosophy. And it's reasoning that bring it to the attention, the things to your attention, I should say. You understand? So, when I listen to hear, and I separate no one, but I go say, when I listen to certain Rasta and certain Christian, when them reason, it's like them reach where them want to reach. There's nowhere else to go. And it can't be like that. You cannot reach the zenith of your spirituality. Because there's always things that is happening and things that is created that you need to go onto. And that is the problem where I have when things become religious. That you start to think in a box and you don't move out of the box because this is where this is where it's supposed to be, and if it not be this, it can't work. It's not so. And fire burn lightning or Jesus Christ will condemn you and all these things. And we see a whole heap of the things them don't work over the years. It don't work. Because people are so dogmatic and fundamentalist that it causes wars and it causes aggression. And so that spirituality that we search for and strive for, we still search. It's like an illusion. It's like something to reach. But, you know, you try to reach it, but every time you go to it, it moves from you. But that don't make you must stop move towards it. But you have to move towards it with an understanding that in going towards it, there are certain things that you have to do different to reach it. You can't use the same formula continuously. And that is the problem I have with religious-minded people. That they're afraid to question their own belief. They are scared because the belief might come up as something that they don't want to deal with again. So because them do it and have said so much time over and over, that them is very reluctant now to declare that, look here, my gosh, look here. You know, so me never look on it this way. You know, so me hear a person there say that I'm read this in a book or something. I me never did I look on it that way. Yeah. So this idea that you reach is really an egotistic idea. What tell you say boy right now, nothing else not there for me, say. Me find Jesus and Jesus' blood is the only this and that. So that is it. Boom, 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 blam, blam, blam. Done. No, sir, not go so. It don't go that way. It cannot go that way. Because if it go that way, they would have still in a cave. Would have still do things where it's not human, even though we are doing things now that is not even human in itself. But our intelligence allows us to be different from other creatures on earth. And if we are to find that happiness that we search for in this God that people speak of, how can we not use intelligence to go for that God? Why is it that most religious people, anytime them start to claim that them find this God, them stop use them intelligence? Intelligence become now numbed. It's like ice, like you put it on dry ice. It can't resonate, it can't vibrate again because, you know, this is how it is and I can't change it, and this is how my granny see it, this is how my great grandmother see it, so give me that old time religion. Because it's good enough for this and it's good enough for that, so it's good enough for me. No. what is good for the goose can't necessarily good for the gander. It's just so it go. If it's good enough for Daniel, it's good enough for that. Yes, it's good enough for them, but then now there must be a time when we must examine critically, question it to the T, and come to a truth in ourselves. Don't tell a lie to ourselves. Tell me something. This thing when me I say, I when me believe in her, is really so it go? They suppose a man tell you A, and then show you without and then a shadow of doubt, say it's B. You're still hold on for A, Rasta? Because you say, boy, right now, boy, hey, you know. I mean, the business where you want to say, you know, B, you want to say B, me I say, hey, you know. Because adapt me that thing from long time, so me no business where you want to say. You can't come with your little new thing, but I hey, and I no B. That is like dirty water, man. That is like dirty water. That is why the beautiful river run. The prettiest river run, you know. Because it's not only the water moving that make the river sweet and beautiful, but the sound of the water upon the stone them make it also beautiful and sweet. And there's nothing like a running river. So the river, water, today it the way up at top there so, and tomorrow it the way down there so. But if the water back up and get stagnant, Rasta, and can't move, pan the stone them, it will get stink. And mosquito will grow in it, and mosquito will bite, and you get disease. So we have to be like the river. We have to be like the river. We start as a spring, but then we move upon the stone them. And we gather experience and understanding. And we move from one stone to the next, to the next. Sometimes a big stone in front of it, but then there is water. So we have to be like water. Because water more dangerous than fire, more time. Because I take water to quench fire, you know. And water, there's crevices and crevices that water will go through. We have to be like water. Because it's the running water of the water that is running on the river and the stones that become the sea. You cannot imagine if the water that stay up at the top, Rasta, you'd have never have the sea. Look how the sea big. So many rivers and it's one sea. So many rivers and it's one sea. And all the rivers run to the sea. And look how the sea look. Big. Big, big, big. But look how the sea big, you know. It have to give honor and respect to the river. So, the reason why we go through all of that talking is to present this thing to you. For sure you say, there's always a different way of looking at things, and we can't close our mind about looking at things, because if we keep closing our minds, we will never move to the next level that human beings supposed to move to. And that is what? Being happy in this life. This life, we're not talking about the next life. This is the man them who most cutting edge listeners is familiar with, and this is the man them that we're going to present tonight. And for the next 2 weeks, or maybe 3 weeks, we're going to present them. So, I know so you put your tape on cock now, so we want to play them as you know them.
Teach these truths to your children. Teach your children that they need nothing exterior to themselves to be happy. No person, place, or thing. And that true happiness is found within. Teach them that they are sufficient unto themselves. Teach them this and you will have taught them grandly. Teach your children that failure is a fiction, that every trying is a success, and that every effort is what achieves the victory, with the first no less honorable than the last.
Okay, so you know that. So now that you know that, we're going to present you this.
This book contains the most exciting news of the past 100 years. Humanity is about to create a new form of spirituality on the earth. I want you to commit now to finding your place in that creation. This book is a look at tomorrow's God. It's about humanity's future, but not some far-off distant future. Rather, it's about our near future and the role that humans will play in creating it. It's about the role that you can play in creating it. It's about what will happen and how it will happen. Like the other With God books, this text takes the form of a conversation with God, but it's not necessary to believe that I actually had such a conversation in order to benefit from it. All that's necessary is that you have an open mind, and this book even tells you how to achieve that. But now, fair warning, you'll find information in this book that's not new to you. In fact, very little here cannot be found cumulatively in the sacred writings of all the world's wisdom traditions. Very little has not already been spoken by all of humanity's master teachers. Very little, for that matter, has not appeared in my own previous writing. What, then, would be the reason to explore this book? I suggest that it's not that it contains wisdom which we have not been given, but that it repeats wisdom to which we have not been listening. And the problem is, if we don't listen to this wisdom now, we may not have many more chances to have it repeated. This book invites you now to internalize the wisdom of both ancient and contemporary masters found here, to not merely hear it again, but to receive it, to take it in, and to absorb it at the deepest level of your being, until it becomes the essence of who you are at the cellular level. Life will be inviting you in the years immediately ahead to act and respond from this level of deep knowing. What you place there now, in terms of the things you profoundly believe, and how far you spread the messages found here through the living of your own life in a new way, will make all the difference in the world, to the world. Yet don't feel that you have to do this all by yourself. Perhaps the most uplifting and exciting part of the message that's brought to us in this book is that now none of us has to go it alone. We have teammates, and we can join them and call them to us to rally around humanity's greatest cause, changing ourselves and changing our world. I said earlier that you might not find much that is new in this book. I was wrong. You might find a new you and a way to create a new world.
More than a radio program. It's an institution on radio.
I know.
No, I'm serious. We need a new God. The old God isn't working anymore.
The old one never worked.
Some people think it did.
They were not looking at the world around them.
They weren't?
Not honestly. Not comprehensively. They were seeing only what they wanted to see. They were not seeing the cruelty and the fighting and the killing that was going on in God's name. They were not seeing the separation and the oppression and the fear and the utter dysfunction. Or worse yet, they were seeing it, and they played into it. They used it as a means of controlling the people. In truth, the old God, yesterday's God, might have made individual lives work here and there, but that God was never able to create a just society or a joyful, harmonious civilization, to say nothing of a peaceful world. And that God can't do that even today. Even today, with all your awareness and sophisticated technology and marvelous miracles, you can't produce the simple, humble experience for which humanity has yearned from the beginning of time. You can't produce peace.
I know.
You can't produce lasting joy.
I know.
And the God in whom you believe can't either.
Why? Why can't all the best efforts of humanity and all the help we've begged for and received from God produce this result?
Because the God in whom you believe isn't real. The God in whom you believe is a God you created out of thin air, having nothing to do with ultimate reality.
Well, there's a challenging thought. That's just about the greatest blasphemy.
All great truth begins as blasphemy. The time to challenge your most sacred beliefs is at hand. If you don't challenge your beliefs soon, your beliefs are going to challenge you. This dialogue is meant to be challenging. This dialogue is meant to save the world.
Will it?
That's up to the world.
Why? Why won't you do something to stop it?
Because you won't.
We can't. You can. You're God. You can do what humans cannot.
Your statement is inaccurate. I can, and you can. But I will not unless you do.
If you were half the God that humans think you are, you'd stop us from destroying ourselves, you know that? You'd make us do what's best for us.
Best by whose assessment, and us by whose definition?
By yours, by your assessment, by your definition. You would define what is meant by the term us. You would decide what is best for us, and then you would make what is best for us happen for all of us. That's what God is for.
Really? Is that what you think?
Well, most of humanity does. Most of humanity believes that God decides which humans are included in the word us. And then we form groups or clusters around what you've decided. And we call these groups and clusters religions or faiths. You, God, then assure us that you'll be bringing us back to you by telling us what is best for us. See how it works? Those humans who are not included in your definition of us will not return to you under any circumstances, nor will those who are included. If they do not do what is best for them, they'll be condemned. They'll suffer in the eternal fires of hell.
Is that what you believe? Is that how it is for you?
Not anymore. Not after experiencing and understanding all of my conversations with God, but it's still the belief of most of humanity. That's why I put it that way, because I've come to this dialogue now to speak for most of humanity.
You do? Why? Why are you doing that?
I want to ask the questions that I think most of humanity asks, to say the things that I hear most of humanity saying.
Why?
So that humanity's voice may be heard, so that humanity's experience may be enlarged, enhanced, expanded, even as mine has been, so that joy may abound and peace may prevail upon the earth, even as joy abounds and peace prevails in my soul when I'm in my highest place.
You want to give to humanity the gift that you have been given.
That's right, yes.
Why?
Because I want to continue to receive the gift I've been given, and the best way I know how to do that is to give it away.
How so?
Because giving transforms having into being. I can imagine myself as having creativity, but only through the giving of my creativity to others can I experience being creative. I can imagine myself having abundance, but only through the giving of my abundance to others can I experience being abundant. I can imagine myself having love, but only through the giving of my love to others can I experience myself as being love. See, giving transforms having into being, and the miracle of giving is that we're giving only to ourselves. This is always the case, and this is the great secret of life. It's the unfolded mystery of every spiritual tradition. So now I speak for most of humanity, asking the questions of most of humanity, making the statements of most of humanity, so that more of humanity may have and know God's responses to these questions and statements, even as I do, so that I may continue to know that I know.
And so a circle completes itself in you, and a prophecy is fulfilled through you. For I have said to all of humanity, unto you will I send my messengers, and among you they will walk. Not only one, but many, not only in ancient times, but through all the ages, bringing you the knowing of the truth of your being, even as that truth emerges in and through them as them. And they will say to you, listen to this invitation. There is another way. There is another way to experience God. There is another way to live life. Your differences do not have to create divisions. Your contrasts do not have to produce conflicts. The variations in your beliefs do not have to bring violence to your lives. There is another way. Yet you will not find that way by searching for it. You will only find it by creating it. And you will not create it by remaining stuck in old beliefs, but only by opening yourself to new ideas. New ideas about God and about life that can truly light the world.
Well, I want to help to bring those new ideas to humanity, even as they were given to me.
So continue now this dialogue, if that is what serves you, even as you serve humanity through this experience. For in this dialogue, I will speak to you of tomorrow's God, who will be different from the God of your yesterdays in many important ways. There is much to explore in our conversation. So, yes, let us continue.
Thank you. And so to get back to where we were, it's the perception of many people on this earth that your job, God's job, is to tell human beings what is best for them. I mean, you tell us what's best for us, then it's up to us to do it. or else. I know this is a simplified restating of one of humanity's sacred beliefs, but that's how it feels to us.
That belief is a fallacy. That is not God's job, and that is not God's purpose, and that is not God's function. It is the job and purpose of the God that many of you have created in your imaginations, but not of the God who really is. It is the function of yesterday's God, but not of tomorrow's God.
Now, that's the second time you've used that phrase. What do you mean by tomorrow's God?
The God in whom you will believe on some future tomorrow. The God in whom you will have faith in your future.
Oh, so we are going to get a new God.
Not a new God, strictly speaking, but a new version of God, a larger version of God. This is the same God who always was, is now, and always will be. It is simply not the God of your present understanding.
But what if I don't want to let go of yesterday's God?
Then you will continue to create your life as you now know it on your planet.
So, what's so bad about that?
Look around you. You like what you see? Then go ahead, continue to believe what you believe. But don't think things aren't going to change. It's not a question of if, but how. Everything is going to change. And sooner or later, so will humanity's beliefs about God. That is when you will say goodbye to yesterday's God.
When is this going to happen?
Actually, it's beginning to happen right now.
Really? Well, so much for that being what saves the world, because it's not changing anything.
Yes, it is. You're just not seeing the change. You're not aware of it. But as the changes increase, as they spread, you'll become more and more aware of them. Indeed, you'll become part of them.
Well, when will the process be complete?
Never. The process of seeing and experiencing more and more of God is never ending. That's the joy of it.
Okay, when will it be complete enough for things to start getting better around here?
Soon, very soon, if humanity is willing.
What does that mean?
It means that if humanity makes this choice, a movement, a radical shift in humanity's understandings about God could occur rapidly, easily within your lifetime, within 3 decades, perhaps even faster than that, once the first domino falls.
What could make humanity willing to make that choice?
More hatred or more hope? Another world-shaking disaster born of rage and wrapped in violence and killing? Or a global awakening produced in another way?
What other way? Other than disaster and calamity, there doesn't seem to be a way for human beings to wake up.
Oh, but there is. There could be a worldwide movement to spread, not terror, but peace, joy, and love. There could be a massive grassroots undertaking with people all across the globe mobilized at the community level to change the way things are. Just as there are now terrorist cells, there could be spiritual activist teams all over the earth.
But how? How can we do this? That's the golden question.
There are many ways in which one may begin.
Okay, name one.
You're listening to it right now.
So we're right back where we started.
Yes. When I said this dialogue is meant to save the world, I meant it.
What's it going to tell me that conversations from other dialogues, other books, other sources haven't told me?
Nothing.
Nothing? So if all I'm going to hear here has been found in other books or from other sources, why bother listening to this? The world's on the brink of disaster, and all the other stuff and all the other sources hasn't helped.
Correct on the first count, incorrect on the second. All the stuff in the other books has helped humanity stave off disaster in the past. The world's esoteric wisdom has helped it correct its course before, and it can do it again. But that wisdom must now be expanded to take into account humanity's expanded possibilities for self-destruction. Education is the key. It is the most powerful tool you have. Educate everyone. Tell everyone about God and about life. Eliminate illiteracy. Then eliminate functional illiteracy. Then eliminate spiritual illiteracy. The more you know about how to destroy yourself, the more you need to know about how to save yourself. It is time now to expand your base of knowledge of God and of life, to grow in your understandings, to increase your awareness, and to enlarge your consciousness. It is time to move from the old spirituality to the new spirituality, to let go of yesterday's God and to embrace tomorrow's God.
Yeah, well, that's not going to be easy. People don't like letting go of the old for the new.
So let's make it clear one last time that what we are talking about here is not a new God, but a new experience of the old God.
Okay, but what if I say that my old ideas do not include any belief in God at all? What if all this talk about God just turns me off, makes me frustrated, or takes me to no place in my mind in which it has any meaning or reality at all?
Tomorrow's God will not require you to believe in God.
He won't?
No, she won't. And that's the first important difference between yesterday's God and tomorrow's God. Tomorrow's God does not require anyone to believe in God.
Whoa, wait a minute. Tomorrow's God will be female?
Yes, except when she's not. Then he'll be male. Unless he's not. In which case God will be neither male nor female, but rather without gender.
Without gender?
Without gender, size, shape, color, or any of the characteristics of an individual living being. And that's the second important difference between yesterday's God and tomorrow's God. Tomorrow's God is without gender, size, shape, color, or any of the characteristics of an individual living being.
You mean that tomorrow's God is not a living being?
No, not in the sense that you mean those words.
How can that be? If God is not a living being, then what is God?
Well, now that's what this conversation is going to be all about. But let me tell you a story. A woman steps onto a balcony late one night to gaze at a diamond-filled sky, tears in her eyes, seeking answers to her questions. She feels alone, desperate. God, she says, if you're here, show yourself to me. I can't go on like this anymore, all alone. Abruptly, a shooting star streaks across the velvet sky. The woman's heart stops. She can't believe her eyes. Now I have a question for you. Was that God?
Yes. Yes, I believe it was God who made that happen.
No, I did not ask you if it was God who made that happen. I asked you if that was God happening.
Well, I don't know how to answer that. It could have been a coincidence.
And what caused the coincidence?
Well, I would say that God caused it. But then we're back to the definition of God, which states that God is the cause of things, not the things that are caused.
Do you suppose that God could be both the cause and that which is caused? Do you think that God could be both the creator and the created?
I never thought about it that way. But no, on first glance, I'd have to say that God is the creator, and we and the world are the created. And if I didn't believe in God at all, I guess I would say that what caused the shooting star to fall just then was random chance.
And random chance randomly selected that random moment for that random occurrence?
Yes. If I did not believe in God, I would say that. Yes, I would say that the occurrence was caused by randomness. What do I know? What are you asking me for? I'm telling you that it could have been nothing more than what happened. The fact that it happened just then would have no meaning at all, except the meaning that someone gives it.
Now you've hit upon something. Nothing has any meaning at all, save the meaning you give it. Now, in the story above, what meaning do you give to the star shooting across the night sky at the exact moment the woman is asking God to give her a sign of God's existence?
I don't know what to make of it.
What do you think the woman might say about it?
Well, she might say that the shooting star was caused by God, or that the shooting star was God, answering her prayer right then and there.
Indeed. And if she believed the shooting star was God, do you think she would experience God as male or female?
Oh. Yeah, I see what you mean.
And I tell you that tomorrow's God will change form as each moment and each individual seeking to experience God dictates.
Whoa, hold it. You mean we get to decide who and what God is?
Why are you so surprised? You've been doing that since time began. You call this religion.
Yeah, but religions don't decide who and what God is. Religions simply tell us what God said about that.
In other words, what God told human beings.
Yes, what God told human beings. And in very special revelations to very special people at very special moments in human history.
Such as the revelations being made here to you at this time.
Well, wait a minute. That's a pretty big stretch for most people. I don't think that most people are going to believe or accept that God would choose to reveal himself to me personally, if that's what you're asking.
I am very clear that they might not accept that yesterday's God would, given what you believe about him. But they might allow as to how tomorrow's God would, because tomorrow's God will talk with everyone all the time. And that's the third important difference between yesterday's God and tomorrow's God. Tomorrow's God talks with everyone all the time.
How? How will this occur? Will everyone be having conversations with God?
Everyone is having conversations with God all the time. That will be an important message of the new spirituality. God is communicating with humanity in every moment. God, the force, the energy, the design, the experience that some call divinity, shows itself in your life in the way that is exactly and perfectly suited to the time, place, and situation at hand.
So you're saying that we'll discover that God actually changes form, appearing in a multiplicity of ways, depending upon the time and the place and the events of the moment.
That is how humanity will allow itself to experience God on this most blessed future tomorrow. Yesterday's God is thought to be a constant. That belief will not change, but it will expand.
So God is not a constant?
God is a constant. God is that which is constantly present and constantly changing, suiting itself to each moment so that God may be understood in that moment, embraced in that moment, experienced in that moment, and expressed in that moment. On your yesterdays, you have believed in a limited God. On a blessed future tomorrow, you will begin to believe in a limitless God who can appear in any form, under any circumstances, to any person, and indeed to all people in all places all the time.
On what future tomorrow? When will I find it? What will cause me to do so?
Whenever and whatever you choose.
What I choose to be the cause will be the cause?
That is correct. You may choose the cause to be some exterior calamity, or you may choose it to be a different kind of event. What you choose will be what you use. You can even choose to use this dialogue, this audiobook that you're listening to right now, to be the cause of your awakening. Many people will.
Yes, but if we awaken too late, it's going to be bad for us. We'll be left behind. We'll be deserted by God because we didn't answer his call while we still had a chance.
That's not true. That is what someone has told you, but that is not true. I tell you this, all of you will awaken. It's not my plan that some of you shall awaken and some of you shall not. What would be the good in that? What would be the point? I assure you of this, my children. All of you will awaken. Life is the process of awakening. It is the process of becoming. It is the process of knowing that one has become what one always was. It is the process of rejoining the inseparable. And that is not a process of actual rejoining, but of simply knowing again that separation never occurred. That is the theological linchpin of the new spirituality.
So this knowing again is the awakening.
Yes, each of you will awaken, since no part of God will ever be deserted by God, nor could it ever be. For God cannot separate God's self from any part of God. And that's the fourth important difference between yesterday's God and tomorrow's God. Tomorrow's God is separate from nothing, but is everywhere present, the all in all, the Alpha and the Omega, the beginning and the end, the sum total of everything that ever was, is now, and ever shall be.
You know, we've heard that for years. How can we get a real understanding of what that means?
You will understand what it means when you become what it means. What it means cannot be revealed to you until it is revealed through you. You must decide that you are separate from nothing, and then begin to act that way. At first it may not be easy. After all, you've been trained to think another way all your life. Yet the transformation can occur. Keep at it. And then one day, you will be there. You will have crossed the dividing line, and nothing will divide you ever again. On that day you will embrace tomorrow's God, and on that day shall you rejoice, for your world will change.
Why don't we know this now? Why don't we embrace it?
Because this notion of God violates virtually everything you have been told and taught about God.
Yet what many of us have been taught has come from the world's major religions. Are you saying that what we've been told about the God of the Jewish, Islamic, and Christian faiths is inaccurate?
It's incomplete. These religions and many others teach of a creator who is separate from his creation. So the message here that tomorrow's God will be separate from nothing is a radical message. It is perhaps the single most important message of the new spirituality, and it is the one element that is missing from most of the world's theologies. It is the missing message. Live this message of non-separation, of the unity of life and the oneness of all things. Live it in a practical way, not merely in a conceptual way. Allow it to seep into your being at the deepest level and become a part of your subconscious, an immediate response to every life encounter. Form a collective to do this work. The day of the individual teacher is past, and the time of the single master is over. It is now time to work together in multiple numbers, remembering that wherever two or more are gathered, there am I.
We could form a team. We could call it Humanity's Team. Then we could ask people everywhere to work together to create the space of possibility for a new spirituality to emerge upon the earth.
That's an excellent idea. I invite you to do exactly that.
Yeah, but the only problem is that when ordinary people speak of these things to others, they're often at a loss for words. Many people wouldn't know how to articulate this message, to say what it is that we're saying here, to convey it the way you convey it.
Everyone has the ability to convey this wonderful message of at-one-ment. You have all the gifts of communication that you will ever require. Your message is your life lived. Your gift is your divine self expressed. Simply allow yourself to be expressed in your own unique way. Others see their possibility in the reality of you. Be therefore a model to all the world. Be the hope of humanity.
That is such an inspiring call. Be the hope of humanity. Are we up to such an invitation, I wonder?
Trust the love that flows through you. Trust the truth that lives within you. Trust the process of life itself that is you. It will bring you to the exact way, the perfect conditions, and just the right moments to allow you to become the message you wish to send. Trust in this process, and you will have this experience.
We will. We'll open to that trust and open to that possibility. And as you suggest, in addition to trying our best to live this message, we'll do what we can to cause it to be circulated far and wide.
And who is this we you are talking about?
Well, I guess I was assuming that I could speak in the plural here. I'm sure others will be inspired to be the hope of humanity too.
Yes, but it's important to be responsible only for the self. You do your part, and don't worry about the person next to you. Otherwise, if you're not careful, you'll be waiting for the person next to you, and they'll be waiting for the person next to them, and so on. And nothing ever happens. Nothing ever gets started.
Okay, I'll be the one. I'll do all that I can do. What you've given us here in this dialogue can form the basis for a beginning exploration of a new way to understand God. And I think that the 9 new revelations presented in the book, The New Revelations, A Conversation with God, are also extremely important. They're breathtaking in their clarity. And the 5 steps to peace found in that other book may be all that is needed to create the space of possibility for a new spirituality to really emerge on the earth.
Yes, all the tools have been given you, not only in these dialogues, but in all the esoteric writings and sacred teachings of your global civilization. And now here in this present conversation, I will speak to you in new ways about this new God, so that you may come to understand more deeply the true nature of the divine. Use this dialogue, then, as one introduction to tomorrow's God. Not the only one, and not the best one, but a helpful one. for it combines the perennial wisdom of the ancients with the fresh articulations of today's contemporary teachers to bring you the insights of all ages. Taken together with the new revelations, this conversation can lead you to foundational change, both individually and collectively. And foundational change is what is required right now to save the world.
All right, okay, wait a minute here. I've got to tell you now that I'm having difficulty every time I hear you use the phrase, save the world. See, you've taught me before that everything is perfect, and there's nothing you have to do. Now you keep coming up with this save the world scenario. And that sounds like just as much of a scare tactic as those being used by some religions to bring us to their understanding of God. It seems as though tomorrow's God is simply using a different kind of fear tool.
I can see how you could come to that. So let me clarify here that everything is perfect in the universe right now. Nothing is going wrong, because wrong is a relative judgment based on what it is you declare that you are trying to do. The universe is not trying to do anything. The universe simply is, and it is perfect as it is, since it has no agenda. If you, however, do have an agenda, then there could be some things occurring in your world, in your part of the universe, which you may wish to alter. The universe will allow you to do that. In fact, it will empower you to do that. But it will never require you to do that. Everything depends on what you choose or what you desire. If you are enjoying life on your planet's surface right now, more or less the way it is, then you may wish to preserve it in that form. That is what I mean by saving the world. By save it, I mean preserve it. That is, to serve it first.
To serve it first? Where did that come from? What does that mean?
Pre-serving is when you serve something even before you make a conscious decision to do so.
Whoa, wait a minute. I'm not sure I understand. How do you choose to be or do something before you consciously choose anything?
You do so at a level other than the conscious level. You come from a different level of creation. There are 4 levels of creation: the subconscious, the conscious, the superconscious, the supraconscious.
Well, everyone knows what the subconscious is. Could you explain what the superconscious and the supraconscious levels of awareness are?
Human consciousness operates at 4 levels at all times. The subconscious mind is assigned to handle all of the automatic tasks of the body, and as well to store every event, experience, impression, feeling, and data that has been brought to the being through the body via the conscious mind. The conscious mind is assigned to handle the task of total data collection in each moment of now. It also performs past data analysis, comprehension, and limited awareness understanding, present moment decision-making, future projection, and all sensory feedback functions. By this means, it produces your present moment experience. You can change this experience instantly by simply moving to a higher level of consciousness. The superconscious mind is assigned the tasks of total awareness understanding, body-mind-spirit connectivity, spontaneous creation, visionary insight, and the manifesting impulse or now purpose of the soul. The supraconscious mind is assigned all of the above tasks combined, as well as the most important function of the being, integration of the individuation with the non-differentiation, that is, of the single soul with the only soul. It is at the superconscious level of the mind that you are connected with me and with all that is in a non-linear, total infusion pattern that eliminates delineations even as it maintains specific energy form integrity.
One more time, please.
It melts you into God without forgetting who you are individually.
Ah,
This is the exact reverse of the process of your subconscious mind, which melts you into you, individually, while forgetting who you are. Put simply, the subconscious or lowest level of mind pushes you away from God, while the supraconscious or highest level of mind pulls you toward God. This push-pull process is a micro version of the macro tension holding together the entirety of physical creation that you know as the universe. The subconscious performs its function by storing every bit of data it has ever received from the conscious mind that would allow it to differentiate itself from the all. The supraconscious performs its function by storing all data everywhere, allowing it to non-differentiate from the all, even as it individuates. It can thus produce, in all humans at any moment, the experience of non-separated separation, or what could be termed the singular duality. It is doing that right now, as you, Neil, conceive these words, which are coming from me, but are coming through you, even as if the two were one, which is precisely the case. The entire Conversations with God series of dialogues has been designed as a step-by-step process of freeing humans from their limited perceptions, that is, of moving them from their subconscious to their supraconscious. This process is known as consciousness raising. It is the means by which human beings are moved to greater awareness of life, a grander experience of the self, and a greater connectivity to the universal. When this process of reintegration occurs, your conscious choices and everyday decisions reflect more and more of the wholeness that you are, more and more of the ultimate reality of unified intelligence and unified understanding and unified expression that is often called in the languages of your world, God or life. As your knowledge and your awareness of this unified reality grows, you begin thinking in terms of serving life itself before you think in terms of serving the little self that you experience as your present human identity. This idea of serving life itself before you serve the little self is what I mean by pre-serving. It is not something that you consciously decide. It is a combination of the subconscious choice, the superconscious choice, and the choice of the supraconscious you. That is, the big self. You begin to act a certain way intuitively. You have picked up the signal from the totality of your being and translated it into action, even before your conscious mind has had a chance to review all of its data and come to a thought-out decision.
Can you give me an example of what we're talking about here?
Yes. A woman gets up in the middle of the night. She has heard her baby crying. She is exhausted. It has been a long day, and it is about to get longer. She is not thinking about that now. She's not thinking about anything. She moves swiftly, lovingly, her heart wide open. This is a mother, and there is nothing like it in the universe. Here is a being acting on divine impulse. She is the divine, impulsively expressing itself. She smiles at the baby in her arms, and her smile is not created in her mind. It comes directly from heaven. This is the serving of life by life, through everything in life, before and in advance of any thought about it. This is serving before you even think of serving. It is the kind of thing that you do when you are out of your mind. You are not stuck in your mind about it. You are coming from a different place altogether. This is pre-serving. And it is only through this level of serving that life itself will be preserved in its present form on the earth. And this is what the new spirituality is all about.
Whoa.
Yes, woe indeed. This is a new form of spirituality that emphasizes life itself as the prime value. And this is a form of spirituality that emphasizes opening to the highest levels of consciousness within you, expanding and raising your consciousness to include what you deeply know to be true at the subconscious, superconscious, and the supraconscious level. When you expand your consciousness in this way, you open to all the knowledge centers within you.
But how does one do that? How do I open to the highest levels of consciousness within me?
This is what the new spirituality teaches. It is explained and contained in many books, in many programs offered by many teachers. It is a multifaceted process that goes on for a lifetime and can be completed in 1 minute. It is a process that never ends, because the higher the level of consciousness you reach, the higher the levels go.
But right now I'm in the middle of this cycle, and I want to expand my consciousness and open to all the knowledge centers within me. How do I do this? You still haven't told me yet how to expand my consciousness.
As I began to say, the complete answer would has filled many books. So I will give you the short answer here, with the stipulation that there's much more to it, much more that can be said. The most immediate way for most human beings to expand their consciousness is to become conscious of the fact that they have a consciousness. Having a consciousness is something of which you must become consciously aware. This is called self-awareness, and developing this can be a fairly easy thing. The next 100 times you look at yourself in a mirror or a reflection, do the who meditation.
The who meditation?
Say the word who to yourself 3 times for 10 seconds each time, stretching the ooh sound of who. You may do this aloud or silently within. Either way, stare directly at your own eyes in the reflection. Take a deep breath and ask on a single breath 3 times, who. The question you are posing to yourself is, who is this? Who is this standing before me? Who is this being that I think I am? Who? If you do this 100 times in the next 30 days, you will become aware of yourself. You may not have come to a full understanding of who you are, but you will come to an awareness that you are. That is, you will become self-conscious. Once you know you have a consciousness, that is a part of you that is larger than you, that can separate itself from the little you and talk back to you, you are well on your way to discovering the truth of your being and stepping into enlightenment.
Yeah, we're there with you, you know. I mean, I know say the ones that I listen out there because the call never tell me say the ones that I listen, but here I know. On Tuesday, June the 28th, the Poetry Society of Jamaica will be hosting its monthly poetry fellowship at the School of Drama Amphitheatre, Edammanley College, 1 Arthurwind Drive. Special guests will be Nestor Andrews, who will be reading from his recently launched book, Trenchtown Poet, I Dare to Dream Again. Since 1998, Nestor has engaged in the art of poetry as a medium of understanding life experiences armed with his pen and creative mind. Nestor debut publication, Trenchtown Poet, I Dare to Dream Again, articulates his dreams, questions about life, and serves as an inspiration for young poets. Poem time begins at 7:30 p.m. All word warriors are welcome to share this work. Admission is free. So, want to know that is Tuesday, June the 28th. And remember that Reggae Day is coming up, 1st of July all the way. Yes, Andrea Davis, big up. And I want you to know that big things this weekend, yeah. Big things this weekend, yeah, you know. We want the people them in and around Escana area. I talk about people from Wellington Park or right down to Spanish Town Road. know say a big concert in the area, you know. Big concert in the area. This weekend, yeah, Eskana. Putting on big concert for the people them in the area. So we want all the people them in Wallington Park. We want the people them down back to the sun. Come right round. If you know say enough artists in your area this weekend. We want to tell you that the 23rd of July is the birthday of Haile Selassie I, and the bingy as usual is going on. I'm told that it's going on in St. Anne. And we also want to tell you about the Desamat Center at 178 Brunswick Avenue, where we will be presenting some DVDs on Haile Selassie the first. So we will be presenting about 3 or 4 DVDs on Haile Selassie and Ethiopia. And it's free. So want to know that that is taking place on the 23rd of July. We'll tell you more about that. As we were talking, as we were saying, this is cutting edge at this new time. Remember now, it's not 11 o'clock we start again. It's 10:15. And we got enough out of the program already. For those of you who just joined we want to know that we're having a discussion here, tomorrow's God. And this is a very important, we think, a very enlightening and very important CD that we're presenting here, because we know so nobody else now play them thing apart for them radio station. You understand? So when we get the opportunity to play it, we play it. So we'll continue.
You will soon understand that enlightenment is experienced by not seeking to experience it. One does not become enlightened because one wishes to. One becomes enlightened because one is. That is, you are already enlightened, and simply now become aware of it. It is awareness that we are talking about here. And now I will tell you a great secret. You cannot become aware of anything within yourself without seeing
Our complicated relationship has changed.
outside of yourself. And you cannot become aware of anything outside of yourself without seeing it inside yourself.
Oh, great. Catch-22.
Not so. Both things can be done at once and always are. When you are open to the outside world, when you are moving in it and through it, keep keen your awareness of everything around you. Look at things as you have never looked at them before. Make every moment a meditation. See the cracks in the sidewalk, the leaves on the tree, the petals on the flowers, the faces in the crowd. Practice seeing them all as you. Just see yourself everywhere. And smile when you see yourself there, knowing that you are there, and that what is there is in you. Now then, set aside time each day to go to the world within. As you move through this inside world, lose all thoughts and images of the outside world. Allow your mind to go blank. Breathe deeply and simply concentrate on the sound of your breath. Make your breath your mantra, the sound that takes you within. Now focus your awareness on the spot in the center of your forehead, just above your eyes. Keep looking there with your inner eyes. Stare into the dark space of that nothingness until you see something. Keep focusing on your breath and look at what you see. Look deeply. Do not put something there, but wait until what is already there is open to your consciousness. Something will suddenly appear to you. To many, it will look like a dancing blue flame. You will not only see this flame, you will feel it. The feeling of it will wash over you. You will call this feeling love. It may bring you to soft and gentle tears. Let that happen, and say hello to your soul.
Oh, I can't believe this. I've never had anything like this explained to me so simply. What happens to me after I experience something like this?
Everything changes in your reality, and everything changes in the reality that you create. Thus you wind up changing your world. The part of the world you touch is never the same, nor is the world entire. where your impact reaches beyond your imagining. The new spirituality is a call to expanded consciousness. It is an invitation to conscious creation. It is the next step in the process of evolution. This will create a revolution on your planet. It will be a non-violent revolution, which is always the most revolutionary revolution of all. It will be the evolution revolution.
So it's not necessarily a revolting against something, but simply a changing, a growth.
A revolution is a revolving. It is a coming full circle. It is life, expressing as life, through life, which process is circular and cyclical and circumferential. It encompasses all, and it encloses all, and it includes all, because it is all. This is why God created humanity. And that is why humanity created God. And when you understand this, you understand everything.
That is quite a mouthful. I mean, it's more than I think I can take all at once. Whew. This conversation, is moving faster than I ever thought it would. Taking me to places I never thought I would go.
You have asked to know about tomorrow's God, and tomorrow's God will have little to do with yesterday's reality. Yet there will be nothing here that you cannot understand, nothing here that you are unable to comprehend. All that will be asked of you is that you open your mind.
How do I do this? That's a psychological trick I don't know how to do on command.
It is not a psychological trick. It is a physiological process. It is something you can do with your body.
What do I have to do?
Simply breathe in the life that is all around you. Breathe deeply with the natural rhythm of life for an extended period. Sit or lie quietly while you do this.
Oh, yes, I've heard of this. In some trainings, this is called breath work.
Yes. Now, as you inhale, feel yourself taking in the energy of life. After breathing deeply for a while, imagine this energy of life entering through a portal at the top of your head. Watch with your internal eye as it courses through your body. As you exhale, let it exit through your feet. Do this a number of times. Scan your body with your mind. Now, imagine filling your brain with this energy. Feel the oxygen fill your brain, feeding and nourishing the cells there. Feel the cells of your brain expand. Do this intentionally for 7 minutes. Make a commitment to do this breath work every day. Try doing it before doing anything else as you begin your day. Soon, it may become automatic with you. If that happens, you will be preserving life. For breathing is the process by which the life force enters you, flows through you, and is sent by you back to life itself. I know that you already understand how the cycling of this life energy through all life forms supports all life forms on your planet.
Yes, I do understand that. I know that the oxygen I breathe in is created by the plants and trees all around me, which breathe in the carbon dioxide that I breathe out, turning it into oxygen again and sending it into the environment for me to inhale. It's a circular system of mutual interdependence.
That is a very basic understanding, but it is correct.
It's the best I can do.
And breathing is not something that you have to be told to do. You do it automatically because it is life-serving. It is the first thing you do in every moment. Before you serve the agenda of your little self, you serve this larger agenda of the big self that is life itself, expressed through you as you. Life serves life in this way, through its never-ending cycle. And you are a part of that cycle. By serving that cycle before serving anything else, you preserve life, which of course preserves it.
Oh my gosh, I just got it. I just got what you've been telling me here. I just got the whole meaning, the whole picture. The cycle is part of the overall and larger process that we call evolution, isn't it? Mm-hmm. I see it now. Even breathing, something as simple and automatic and seemingly non-impacting upon the world as breathing, actually serves the whole cycle of life, by which life itself is allowed to sustain itself. We have to serve first our highest idea about who we are, which is life itself uniquely expressed. Then, life as we know it can be preserved.
Bravo, bravo.
Thank you.
You got it. That is what is meant by saving the world.
I see the challenge now and the opportunity.
It is a great opportunity. You might say a once-in-a-lifetime opportunity. You have an opportunity to preserve your world and the life you have created by preserving life itself.
You seem to be using the word life a lot here. And you've said before in previous dialogues that this word is interchangeable with the word God. Is that what you want humanity to understand at last? Will tomorrow's God not require us to believe in God in the conventional sense at all, but merely to believe in life?
When you believe in life, you do believe in God, whether you say it in so many words or not. You can be an atheist or an agnostic or anything in between, and it won't matter to tomorrow's God. Life is the one word in your many languages that comes closest to carrying the meaning that some of you are seeking to express when you use the word Allah, or God, or Brahman, Vishnu, or Shiva, and that you hope describes or can be a container for the stuff that God is. In one word, life is the stuff that God is. Life is. Life is that which is. It has no shape, no form, no gender. It has no color, no fragrance, no size. It is all shapes, all forms, all colors, fragrances, and sizes. It is both genders and that which is genderless as well. There is nothing life creates that is not life itself. All that you see everywhere around you is life, expressing. Life is everything. It runs in and through everything. You are life expressing, and life is you expressing itself as you. Everybody else is life expressing. There is no one, not a single living being, who is not an expression of life. Even those you consider the worst among you are an expression of life. Now play a little trick on yourself. Play a little game. Replace the word life with the word God and see what happens. Watch your mind go crazy. Make the same statement, the same exact statement as above, but use the word God in place of the word life, and watch what your mind does with it.
Okay, here goes. God is. God is that which is. God has no shape, no form, no gender. God has no color, no fragrance, no size. God is all shapes, all forms, all colors, fragrances, and sizes. God is both genders and that which is genderless as well. There is nothing God creates that is not God itself. All that you see everywhere around you is God expressing. God is.
Sorry for Botina there, so. Sorry for Botina, but I have for Botina. Because it excites me. You know why it excites me? From me, I come up in a Rasta, I that me hear Rasta say. From me a side Rasta, me live at St. James, and me go amongst Rasta in a hill, and that him a tell me say, life is this, life is that. So wide you can't get round it, so high you can't get over it, so low you can't get under it. It's just life. That's why when the Rasta man born God, and when man I try to figure out what is happening here. A long time I hear them reasoning, and it just come now in a certain context and put in a book and thing. But a Rasta man way up in St. James and Westmoreland and manifest them kind of reasoning, and I tell you, say, watch a man. Life. A life him a deal with. Him know no God talk, is life. And you hear the man say, no, substitute the word life for God, as if you don't get the same thing. And it's long time you hear Rasta man I say these things. Long time. Long time.
Everything. It runs in and through everything. You are God expressing, and God is you, expressing itself as you. Everybody else is God expressing. There is no one, not a single living being, who is not an expression of God. Even those you consider the worst among you are... Even those you consider the worst among you are an expression of God.
Now, was that easy to say and accept?
Well, for me, yes. For some others, probably not. Some people would find the first statement perfectly reasonable, and the second statement blasphemous.
That is because some of you have an imagining that God is not life, but rather that God stands outside of life, creating life, but not being it. Yet I tell you this, the words life and God are interchangeable. When you understand this, you will understand the basis of the new spirituality, and you'll have a one-word definition of tomorrow's God, and you'll have the makings of an almost automatic inner guidance system for living the new spirituality that can change the collective experience on your planet.
It's just so hard to accept a God who says that we don't have to believe in God. I mean, I'm so used to a demanding God who not only says that I have to believe in him, but tells me exactly how I have to believe in him, what I have to believe about him, and why I have to believe in him.
Do you think that life cares whether you believe in life? Life doesn't go away, and it doesn't treat you any differently depending upon how you feel about it. Life simply is, and your believing in it or not believing in it does nothing to change that or to affect it. Life will not punish you if you don't believe in life, nor will life reward you if you do. Life does not objectively create rewards and punishments. Life is a process.
But if the words God and life are interchangeable, this would mean that God is a process.
That's correct.
God is a process?
That's correct.
What's the process that God is?
Life.
Ah, full circle.
Yes. And this is the fifth important difference between yesterday's God and tomorrow's God. Tomorrow's God is not a singular super being, but the extraordinary process called life.
Well, this is not a small thing here. I mean, this is not an insignificant change in our theological constructions. For some, this is a major shift. For some, this is blasphemy.
On humanity's yesterdays, most people who believed in God thought of God as a super being, which allowed them to create a God in their mind who is like a person. In other words, a bigger version of themselves. But if I tell you now that God is not a super being at all, but the process called life, your theological apple cart is turned upside down. Suddenly, not only is humanity the image and likeness of God, everything else is as well. This changes your relationship with all things. Now everything is one thing, and that one thing is called God. This is not a new idea. Many of your scientists and philosophers have been saying this for centuries. In fact, this is the crossroad where science, philosophy, and religion meet. Each may continue beyond this crossroad, taking once again their individual direction. But if they forget or ignore the fact that they have intersected here, they do so at their own peril. Their disciplines become useless, for they are incomplete. The new spirituality does not ignore this crossroad, but stands squarely in the middle of it. That this theology widely adopted would change the world, there's no doubt. It could save the world from self-destruction.
Because human beings would never do the things they're now doing to the earth, much less the things they're doing to each other, if they thought they were doing all of these things to themselves.
Exactly. Self-preservation would kick in. You would never do things to your own body that you do without a second thought to the body of another. You'd never treat your own feelings the way you treat without giving it a second thought, the feelings of another. You could never do to your own family or your own country what you do to the families and the countries of another. The only way you can justify treating other countries, other cultures, other people the way you do is to imagine, no, to insist that they are separate from you. To make this separation more vivid and to give yourselves justification for acting the way you do, you also insist that these others are separate from God. Only you are united with God. Only you are God's people. Only you are following God's plan for salvation. This is how your human theologies have created your cultural story around yesterday's God. And it is why yesterday's God has become one of humanity's greatest downfalls.
Oh my God, don't say that. It's Satan who's the downfall of man. Don't say that God is man's downfall. That's apostasy.
By yesterday's God, I mean yesterday's ideas about God, yesterday's conceptualizations about God.
But this really isn't just a modest shift in our conceptualizations about God. This is a major change and would in turn create a massive alteration of our cultural story. It would dramatically alter what we tell each other about life. I'm not sure humanity is ready for a change on that order of magnitude. Human beings have a complicated relationship with change. They don't like it very much.
And that's why human beings have always had a complicated relationship with God.
Our complicated relationship with change has created a complicated relationship with God?
Yes.
Why? Why is that so?
Because there's another word that is interchangeable with God, and that is change.
Here we go again. Does this ever end, this continual redefining of God?
We're not redefining God. We're actually fully defining God for the first time.
Ah.
Now, I said earlier that God is that which is constantly present and constantly changing, suiting itself to each moment, so that God may be understood in that moment, embraced in that moment, experienced in that moment, and expressed in that moment. I also said that the words God and life were interchangeable. And now what I want to tell you is that life is a process of change. This is why the words God and change are synonymous. Here then comes another shift in your understanding. Yesterday's God was said to be that which never changes. That God has even been called the unmoved mover. So here is the sixth important difference between yesterday's God and tomorrow's God. Tomorrow's God is ever changing.
Yeah, man, this is the cutting edge. Hope you listen to it, because them reason I carry me way back coming at some serious St. James and over Westmoreland Mountain, where we hear certain reasoning, but never put it into perspective until we experience certain things. Because sometimes you hear the reasoning and it don't really grab you until certain things you experience and I say, what, and so and so and so and so, but some serious reasoning about the idea of God. And me not feel no way if I say it, but Rastafari, when we say Rastafari now, we are talking about how the anciency of Rastafari go in its essence. It's that we did show the people them, because people feel so we have shown them something outside of themselves when we say Haile Selassie. But the Rastaman don't tell us says I and I, Selassie is I, and I is Haile Selassie I. So when I say I, and a man say, what kind of foolish talk that? It's just the Rastaman way of saying that, look a man, life not separate from life. And there's one life, and there's different manifestation of that life. So you have to protect all life form, even the animal them. See it? It's just that now someone's lose the understanding somewhere between reggae music and Visa. We don't know.
Boy, you really want the whole paradigm, practically everything we've ever thought about God, to be thrown out, don't you?
Not thrown out, expanded. You've had a limited awareness. It's time to expand your awareness. In a sense, your old idea of God as that which never changes was correct. It was simply incomplete. It did not contemplate or consider that the one thing which never changed about God could be that God is always changing, that this could be the constant. In fact, it is. God is always expanding and becoming. The process of expansion and becoming never ends. It's how life functions. It's how life adapts. And it's how life sustains itself. This process is what you've called evolution.
I hate to tell you this, but there are some things in life that never change.
Nothing in life never changes.
Nothing?
Nothing.
Well, some things certainly seem to not change.
Name one thing.
All right, the rocks in my garden. I mean, they're there, they've been there for years, but they've not changed a bit. They are inert objects, and they do not change.
Wrong. They move. They change. They're in constant motion. Under a high-intensity microscope, you would see particles constantly in motion, racing at incredible speed relative to their size, spinning their tail. It's their story. It's the story of the rock. All of life is energy in motion. Nothing stands still. Nothing. Not a single thing in the universe is static. All is moving, and movement is change.
Can't some things move and still remain the same?
Not all of the energy in the universe is vibrating at the same speed or frequency, or what you might call the same level of consciousness. Energy that is totally aware of itself moves in faster ways to produce difference. Energy that is not totally aware of itself moves very slowly, producing over and over again nearly the same pattern that existed before, until that pattern alters itself over a very long period of time.
So that's why the rock looks as if it's staying the same, while my appearance changes from year to year.
Year to year? Try month to month. Actually day to day, although those day-to-day changes, like the changes in the rock, are not noticed. Energy systems that vibrate at lower rates of speed are more dependable, more reliable. This is precisely because they produce over and over again the same pattern that existed before, until that pattern alters itself over a very long period of time. It all has to do with levels of self-awareness.
Are you saying that rocks are self-aware?
Everything is self-aware, but levels of self-awareness differ. Highly self-aware energy always seeks to become more self-aware. Once an energy system becomes increasingly aware of itself, it seeks to become more and more self-aware.
How are you going to keep them down on the farm once they've seen Perry?
Exactly. The more you know, the more you want to know. The more you experience, the more you want to experience. This is the nature of life. Life seeks more life through the process of life itself.
Well, that's poetic.
It's also true. So what I'm saying here is that the faster an energy vibrates, the faster it is going to vibrate.
In other words, things speed up.
And then they slow down. Ever it has been, ever it shall be. This is the cycle of life.
Okay, I see this, I understand it. But what does this have to do with God and me in my daily life?
Remember when I said earlier that the God in whom you believe isn't real? That the God in whom you believe is made up?
Yeah, and I was pretty startled when you made that comment.
Yet it's true. Yesterday's God is a God you created out of thin air, having nothing to do with ultimate reality. What I'm explaining now is ultimate reality, a little of it anyway, so that you can begin to understand, begin to grasp the complexity of the whole system. Hang in there, because after you hear this, you'll never be able to think of God in the same way again.
Okay, I'm with you.
Good. Now, to pick up where I left off. All energy is self-aware, but not all energy is aware that it is self-aware.
I beg your pardon?
All of life, down to the tiniest particle, contains intelligence. This basic intelligence is built in. It is a cellular encoding. Because that is true, these tiny particles move in ways that make sense. Their movement produces a specific and predictable outcome. This outcome is called life. At the macro level, it's called the cosmology of the universe. At the micro level, it's called particle physics, superstring theory, and so forth.
And somewhere in the middle, there's us.
Now you're with me, yes. Some of you call this built-in intelligence the survival instinct. All of your laws of physics and its predictability have been based on the understanding at which you have just arrived. Now comes an interesting twist. At a certain point in the process of evolution, life energy becomes aware that it is aware of itself.
That's a big event, yes?
You bet. It's life becoming aware of what life is in its present form. It is supremely impacting because it produces what I call the separation phenomenon. This is when an element of life first has the idea that it is separate from God. It is the first pivotal moment, the moment when an energy unit becomes conscious of itself as a part of the system rather than as the system itself. Its identity as part of the system soon expands into a thought that it is separate from the system.
Uh-oh.
Yes. It is the mother of all uh-ohs. Actually, that's true, literally, because it gives birth to the next emerging process of life. Chaos.
Chaos? As in chaos theory?
Exactly. The thought of being something other than the system is what brings chaos to life.
Wow, you're making physics relevant here. This is great. So go on. How does the idea of separation from the all create chaos in the system?
While a unit of energy becomes self-aware, it is losing its awareness of the larger system of which it is a part. Its intelligence, which is really the intelligence of the system, is now experienced as its own intelligence. An example of this is what's occurring right now.
It is?
Yes?
In what way?
You think this is you talking, and really this is me. Part of you thinks that this explanation right now is something that is coming from your intelligence, and it is not, and could not be, because you don't know any of this. Yet because it came through you, you think it belongs to you. You think it is yours, and really, it is ours.
You're right. Sometimes I do think this is all coming from me. Even when I know better, I sometimes think that.
Don't feel bad. It's natural. I'm explaining to you here just how natural it is. It's part of how life works. And of course, the intelligence is coming from you. It's coming from the part of you that is me. Me. That is, it's coming from the system of which you are an intrinsic part. But when an energy unit such as yourself sees itself as not part of the system at all, but as a product of the system, the life form has created an illusion. It is one of the 10 illusions of humans. It is the illusion of disunity.
And then along comes chaos theory and quantum physics.
Yes, and quantum physics is simply the scientific explanation for how God, the system if you please, looks at its individual parts and watches itself impacting those parts. You would call this phenomenon, in spiritual terms, a higher level of consciousness or increased self-awareness. It is when that which is aware experiences the fact that it affects that of which it is aware.
Nothing which is observed is unaffected by the observer. The first law of quantum physics.
Good. That's very good.
Thank you.
Now, the energy unit or life form experiences itself as part of a system again. It becomes aware that the more rapid is the vibration of its energy, the higher is its frequency, and the more impact it has on the energy around it.
This is absolutely fascinating. I can even see how this applies to my own life. The more I become self-aware, the more impact I see myself having upon the life that's going on around me. And the more I have a sense of that, the more conscious I imagine I would become of my potential impact. And I can take that into account as I make future decisions.
That's the way it's supposed to work, but many earthly life forms, most actually, cannot always determine their impact with precision ahead of time. So unpredictability becomes part of the system. This is called creation. It is the creation and the creator being the same thing. Everything is predictable in the energy unit you call a rock. Left to its own devices, it will continue to manifest itself in precisely the same way over an extended period. Now along comes a human being, an energy unit or life form, vibrating at a much higher frequency, having the capacity to see in the rock what the rock does not and cannot see in itself. The human does something totally unpredictable from the rock's point of view. The human being picks up the rock, puts it in a tumbler, and polishes it until it reveals itself to be a shining and beautiful stone. The much slower energy system of which the rock is normally a part can also produce the same result, with the earth itself becoming the tumbler and its elements rubbing against the rock until a precious stone appears. Yet that can take eons, whereas a human being who knows how to move energy around consciously to produce a specific result can produce the same outcome in a few hours. This is conscious creation.
I get it. Everything I do is part of the creation process inherent in all of life. And after I evolve to a really high level, I can actually predict and even control the way in which I'm impacting life. I can become the master of my own destiny.
Now you are indeed getting it.
Ah, great.
Once you understand all of this, once you start looking at life and God and creation in a new way, it begins to shift your whole ground of being. It changes the way you hold the experience of life itself and yourself in it. Finally, as life forms become even more self-aware, they begin to access different levels of consciousness, including the level of consciousness from which they themselves emerged. This produces a reversal of the separation phenomenon, the second pivotal moment, a disappearing of individual consciousness, a melting of it into the all in an experience that some Eastern mystics have called bliss or nirvana.
I can achieve this. That's what you're telling me, isn't it?
That is exactly what I am saying, yes. Bliss is the natural state of being of all life, and all life forms return to it. Highly evolved life forms move in and out of this state at will. It is the cyclical movement in and out of bliss that propels life itself and causes it to be. This cycle of life never ends. If it did, life itself would cease to be. Such a thing cannot occur because life will not allow it. Life is ruled by three basic principles: functionality, adaptability, and sustainability. It functions, or having atrophied to the point of near dysfunctionality, it adapts, and having adapted, it sustains itself. Always, life sustains itself. Life is eternal. All things in life support life.
Well, then we have nothing to worry about on this planet.
But it is the second of the three basic principles of life that you must watch carefully. For you see, life is eternally adaptable. That is, it will change itself. It will alter the form in which it is expressed in order to ensure that it is sustained.
What does that mean to humans?
It means that your planet could become a living hell.
Oh.
It means that the energy system of which you are a part will adapt itself in whatever way it has to in order to make certain that life itself is sustained. And so if you, as a part of life, adapt the life system of which you are a part in such a way that the system itself is threatened at the level of functionality, the system will counter-adapt in order to sustain itself, and you, my friend, may not like the way in which it does this.
This system is the process that you called change, isn't it?
That's correct.
This system is, then, what you call God, I guess, yes?
You could put it that way.
This all sounds so impersonal. I was hoping that tomorrow's God would be a personal God, but none of this seems to have any personal aspect to it at all, or any level of personal caring.
Well, let's go back to calling God life, shall we?
Okay.
As I said earlier, that seems to be a word most everyone can agree with. Do you have any problem with the word life as a synonym for the word God?
Well, I guess not.
You hesitate.
Well, because it seems to some that God is bigger than life. God is that which created life and everything in it.
Does that mean that God is not living?
No, God is living.
You sure? God is alive?
Yes.
So then God created life, and God was alive when he created it. Is that right?
Well, yes, I suppose so.
So God was what he created.
In a sense, I guess so.
Well, that's exactly what I've been telling you.
Whoa, wait a minute. Maybe God was the first thing that was alive, and then God gave birth to more life. Couldn't that be how it is?
But who gave God life?
God always had life. God was always alive. God always was, is now, and never shall be.
So God is that which is alive.
Yes.
So when God created more life, he created more of what he is, namely, that which is alive.
Yes, I suppose you could say that.
Well, my friend, that is the new spirituality to the letter.
Yes, well, you cornered me into that. I'm sure that some theologian, some theology professor somewhere, or some cosmologist could go around in a circle with you on that and come out better than I did.
That depends on what you call better.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. But let's get back to your comment about God being impersonal. The point I wanted to make here is that when the quality of being impersonal is overlaid on your conceptualization of God, you have a sadness around that.
Yes.
But when the quality that you call impersonal is overlaid on your conceptualization of life, you've no problem with that at all.
No, I don't.
That's why I've said that interchanging the words God and life makes it much easier to understand and accept God as God really is. Life is not concerned with you individually. It has no preference in the matter of how you are experiencing life.
Yes, I know.
Yet life is an energy that you can use at any time with consistent and predictable results. Used in this way, life becomes your greatest friend, your most effective tool, your most astonishing power in the creation of the experience of your desires. You are life. Now, substitute the word God for the word life in the above paragraph. Apply it to yourself and see if it does anything to your feeling of sadness.
Okay. God is an energy that I can use at any time with consistent and predictable results. Used in this way, God becomes my greatest friend, my most effective tool, my most astonishing power in the creation of the experience of my desires. I am God.
Any change? Feel any differently about God now?
Well, I feel empowered. I feel befriended, cared for, and really empowered.
Yet, only a person can befriend you, care for you, empower you.
Well, then what I've done is that I've personalized God, I guess. I've conceived of this energy called life in a personal way. That may not be the way it is, but that's the way it feels good to me.
And that is the best way to think about God. Think about God in a way that feels good to you.
But what if what feels good to me is thinking about God in a way that we thought about yesterday's God? Demanding, punishing, requiring us to do certain things in a certain way and to come to him along a certain path, or else? What if that's what feels good to me?
Then by all means, keep thinking of God in that way. Look to see if this is producing the outcomes you want to see produced in your world. Look to see if this brings to your life what you wish to see in your life. And if it does, don't change a thing.
But the world is a mess.
Then change a thing.
Okay, but as I observed before, making this happen is not going to be easy. Most religions have not seriously considered a new idea about God in centuries, in millennia.
That's basically true.
And now, all of a sudden, they're going to?
The people of the world will, and that will require religions to expand their point of view and to go along, or lose their followers.
You're sure all this is going to happen, yes?
Yes. It is all part of the process of evolution.
Then why do we have to save the world? What's all that about?
Back to that, are we?
Yeah?
Mm-hmm. You don't have to save the world. You will save the world as it is only if you choose to. Life is never going to end. The system is always functional, adaptable, and sustainable. So life is never going to end. Let's make that clear. So when I use the word save the world, I use them to mean keep the world in place as you know it. I've explained that you save the world when you preserve it.
REFM, thought-provoking, always smoking, lyrics like a bazooka. You are listening to Muta
I've explained that
Baruka.
you save the world when you preserve it. And you preserve the world when you preserve it. That is, when you serve it before you even think about serving it. When it is the natural, instinctive thing to do. Right now, you are violating your own instincts. Your instincts are telling you that what you are doing to your world and to your very self is destructive. Yet you continue to do these things anyway. And so you are life, ignoring the message of life itself. Therefore, if you are enjoying life in your present form, you are urged to pay more attention to that. Learn and learn and learn until it becomes second nature to live in sustainable ways. Keep bringing in the information that will help you in this. Look at it over and over again. Tell yourself the same things. Repeat the wisdom of the ages until it is melted into your subconscious.
So that's why this dialogue keeps repeating itself.
Yes. This conversation keeps going around in circles because life is nothing more than a process of going around in a circle. But we will yet be covering new ground because each time you go around the circle, you understand more than you understood before. And so the circle expands. So keep listening, for there's more to be said about how the new spirituality and tomorrow's God will manifest in the day-to-day world of your collective reality.
Good, because that's what I want to know about.
Yet first you must understand all that you can possibly understand about tomorrow's God. Only then can you serve life first, automatically, instead of serving your own limited short-term desires.
Yesterday's God and the old spirituality have done nothing to stop us from doing that, have they?
No, because the old spirituality spoke of separation and disunity and a universe that is essentially dead.
What do you mean, dead?
Most humans imagine that objects in the universe, such as the Earth, the Sun, and the solar system, are dead. They conceive of them as inert objects, rocks essentially, moving through time and space. This is an illusion. And when you live within this illusion, you have no reason to act in any way in relationship to those dead things, except to exploit as many of them as you can, so that you can live better. Yet when you envision and experience the objects in the universe as part of a living system, which is the reality, your idea about yourself in relation to that system changes. The old spirituality says that God stands separate and apart from his creations, and breathed life into man, that he may have dominions as he could touch and see and feel and gather unto himself. The new spirituality says that God is unified and one with everything, and breathes life not into humans, but as humans, that humans may express and experience themselves as God made manifest, and may know that everything they touch and see and feel is likewise God in manifest form. The old spirituality asks you to serve God, and the new spirituality asks you to serve life, which is the same thing. If the old spirituality allowed you to imagine that you could serve God by destroying life, whereas the new spirituality cannot imagine such a thing.
So September 11th could never have happened in the name of Allah if people were serving tomorrow's God.
It shouldn't even have happened in the name of service to yesterday's God. But that's the problem right there. The teachings of the old spirituality are so ambiguous that you can murder each other in cold blood, claiming that God demands it. Serve life first. That will be the motto of the new spirituality. That will be its credo.
But there are those who will still interpret that to justify killing others at random. In fact, that's the classic rationale for war. We have to do it. We have no choice. Our lives, our own survival depend on it. We are serving life by ending life.
Yet when life is held as the prime value, and when the largest portion of society is imbued with this value and holds it as sacred, such self-destructive cycles seldom have the opportunity to reach critical mass, because somebody, somewhere, a person, a group, a collective body, intervenes and changes course.
And that can be the work now of humanity's team. We can actually gather people from all over the world to help humanity change course and to create critical mass around a new idea, the concept of a new spirituality.
Indeed you can. This team can begin educating people to the fact that the universe is a living system and what that can mean to humanity. Right now, in this day and time, you can begin the process of changing your own beliefs, releasing those that continue to produce dysfunction in your life, and embracing new thoughts which could produce a new kind of world in your lifetime. It all depends on how committed you are to experiencing your earth as the paradise, and your life as the virtually unlimited opportunity that they can be. If you have no commitment to that, you could experience your planet as a far more unfriendly place, and your life as a far more limited expression in the near future.
In other words, we had better change things, or things are going to change for us in ways that we don't prefer.
They are, as you yourself just said.
And when these changes that we don't prefer start to really mount up, we will change. We'll change our ideas about life, if only as a means of survival.
Not if only, primarily. Primarily as a means of survival, you will change. If your survival is directly threatened, you will do what you have to do. You'll even change your most sacred and long-held beliefs about yourselves, about God, about life, about everything, if you have to. You will always choose survival. Make no mistake about that.
You're talking about a wholesale shift in our most fundamental understandings about life and about God. Am I hearing you clearly here?
Oh, yes, you are. As I have said, this is a shift humanity will make. It is not a question of whether, it is a question of when.
But how do we get humanity to change its most basic beliefs?
By challenging them. By holding them up to the light of logic and scrutiny and challenging them. You must challenge your most sacred assumptions, and you must challenge the source from which they have come. Yet before you can challenge that source, you must identify it.
Okay, so where have our most basic beliefs come from?
From your exclusivist, organized religions. The majority of society's most important laws and virtually all of humanity's fundamental beliefs were first articulated by your earliest mystic teachers, and then by their interpreters and followers. Those followers then passed the teachings of those mystics on to others, and they to others, until, through no deliberate fault of anyone, they became misinterpreted and distorted. And those teachings in turn became the basis of your most influential religions. Ultimately, they became your cultural story as well. The teachings seeped into everything, including...
It's true, isn't it? Our whole culture has emerged from our religions one way or another.
Of course. It's only natural. Because religions have to do with what people most fervently believe, and it is what you believe that determines how you behave. And so, of course, your culture emerges from your beliefs. And those beliefs, once religious doctrine, purport to tell the religious among you not only what humans should want and desire, but what God wants and desires. And this shows up in many important ways as your society has created itself.
Can you give me an example?
I can give you an excellent one. You have imagined a God who is the epitome of both,
Edge
and by telling
on
yourself
Irie
that
FM with Muta
the likeness
Baluka.
of God, you have given yourself the moral authority to demonstrate both. I have said it to you before, and I will say it to you again. You are killing yourself. The moment you expect to be, you're not. The very act of expecting yourself to be something precludes you from experiencing it. You cannot expect to experience something that you are already experiencing. Remember that. Expecting something pushes it away from you. When you are not okay with the state of consciousness you are now in, this makes you wish for more, and wishing for more of anything always lowers your state of consciousness because it causes you to feel that you do not now have what it is you wish for, and therefore cannot now be totally happy. And that is the lie about you. You can always be totally happy with exactly the way things are right now. It's the master who knows this.
Yet if that's true, why bother trying to change things?
Being happy right now and choosing to change things right now are not mutually exclusive. The decision to change things does not have to spring from judgment, dissatisfaction, or unhappiness. It can spring from simple preference. Pure creation knows nothing of judgment, but only of desire. Remember, change is a process called life. The decision to change things is the decision to live. It is the choice to live intentionally, to be at cause in the matter of how things change, rather than to be at the effect of it. So tell yourself and everyone else the truth, which is that you are not in what others might define as a place of high consciousness all of the time, but that when you are, it's clear to you that you are creating your whole life, including this dialogue.
But most people still want to believe in a God that's separate from us. So if I say that I am making this all up, they'll lose their faith in you, in me, and in this whole process.
You could use a new idea about God, you know that? Right now, you're describing yesterday's God, a God who lives outside of you, a God who is separate from you, a God to whom you speak. Tomorrow's God will not be a God to whom you speak, but a God with whom you speak. There's a tremendous difference. In fact, that is, if you remember, the third important difference between yesterday's God and tomorrow's God. Shall we state it again? Tomorrow's God talks with everyone all the time. Yet the turn of phrase, a God with whom you speak, can have a double meaning. It can mean that you are speaking with God, as in conversations with God. And it can mean that God and you are speaking at the same time, as in saying words along with me. In the future, we will conceive of a God and envision a God and believe in a God who speaks to you and through you, all of you, all the time, and not just a God to whom you pray. When you make this shift, everything in your world will change, because seeing God in this new way will cause you to see each other in a new way. And if you agree that God speaks to you and through you, you cannot help but see each other in a different light.
That does not seem like a simple shift.
Yet the movement is really very slight, theologically and philosophically. You already say and agree that God is the all in all. In the future, you will simply include yourself in the all in all. You will see that if God is the all in all, and if you are part of the all in all, then God is obviously in you, and you in God, and that there can be no separation between the two.
Well, of course, this is the message of the entire Conversations with God trilogy and of all the CWG books that have followed. And that idea is very exciting to me, yet how can I see God in the terrible people of the world? How do I see God as speaking to and through the world's despots and the world's killers and the world's oppressors and the world's madmen?
Until you see God in the face of your enemy, you cannot see God at all. For in truth, there is no such thing as an enemy. There is only that part of you which is in contrast to another part of you. God doesn't exist for you if he exists for you only in the things and the people you like. The real master is the one who knows and understands that God exists in and through all things, that God is absent from no one and nothing.
If that's true, how can some people act the way they act?
People act in ways that are not beneficial to themselves or others when they have forgotten who they are.
Why have they forgotten?
Because they've been taught to, because they've been told to. Your ancient cultural stories tell you of your separation from the divine, and most modern societies repeat some version of that story to their offspring to this very day.
But what can we do when people act in ways that hurt us?
Remind them of who they really are. But first you must remember who you really are and act like it. When people hurt you, it's very often an opportunity for reconciliation. Very few people hurt other people intentionally without having what they consider a good reason. When someone has hurt you, you can do one of several things. You can defend yourself, attack back, or find out what they thought their good reason was. Learn why they attacked you and seek reconciliation, mutual forgiveness, and collaboration on the reconstruction of your relationship. Healing opens the door to recognition, that is, to recognition or knowing again who you really are. You are one with the divine, and so is your attacker. Your opportunity is to remind the attacker of that.
How do you remind a madman that he is God? Most of the time, the problem is he already thinks that.
When people think they are God, but act insanely, then they have not only forgotten who they are, they have also forgotten who God is. Your opportunity then is to remind them of who and what God is, and see if they want to step into that.
I am going to remind others of who and what God is?
You may if you choose. This is the invitation of the new spirituality. This can become the assignment of humanity's team.
And just exactly what are we supposed to say?
You are all messengers, and you have only one message. I see you. I see the real you. I know you. I know the real you. I love you. I love the real you. That's the only message you ever need to send anyone. It'll heal everything.
I'm sorry, but I'm still having trouble here. How do you send a message of love to someone who's killing you? How do you send that message to someone who's oppressing you? How do you tell someone that you see them as who they really are when they're not seeing you as who you really are?
By seeing yourself as who you really are, even when others are not, especially when others are not. All great masters have done this, and in doing so, they've changed the world. Is this not what the Buddha did? Is this not what Abraham did? Is this not what Jesus did and what Muhammad did? For that matter, is this not what Gandhi did, what Mother Teresa did, what Martin Luther King did, what Joan of Arc did, and exactly what Nelson Mandela did on the day he was released from jail? Look at the people who have changed the world. Is this not what they all have done?
Yes, but I'm not one of them. I'm not on that level. I'm not in that group.
You are when you place yourself there. No one excludes you from magnificence except you.
I can't do this. This is way too much to ask of me.
If you think you have to do it alone, I can see why it might seem like too much to ask. So form that team you talked about. Form humanity's team. Get together with many, many others. For now, your world would benefit from having more than one master. Or two, working wonders here and there. The time of the individual master is over. The time has come for many masters to appear.
Yeah, well, I guess I just don't see myself in the master role at any level. I know too much about myself. I could never put myself in the category of Jesus or Abraham or Muhammad.
Was it not Jesus who said, "Why are you so amazed? These things and more shall you do also"?
But I don't think I have what it takes. Based on my past performance in life, I don't think I have the makings of a master of anything, except maybe a master messer-upper.
Past performance has nothing to do with it. Yesterday has nothing to do with who you are. It has only to do with who you thought you were. Here is the central tenet of the new spirituality. The purpose and the greatest opportunity and gift of life is to recreate yourself anew in the next grandest version of the greatest vision ever you held about who you are. And you can do this in every single golden moment of now. The time of your transformation is at hand. It is always at hand.
Still, even if I embark, it could take me years, lifetimes to get there. What good will that do the world right now?
Every soul embarked on the journey to mastery begins by leaving ignorance behind. This alone is an enormous first step with far-reaching consequences, not only for that individual soul, but for all those whose lives that soul will touch, and at some level, for all the world.
So, beginning the journey is important in and of itself.
Profoundly so, for it increases the speed and raises the frequency of the vibration of the life energy. That shift affects and impacts the vibration of all the energy around it.
Is it possible to raise my individual vibration to a level where I can affect the whole, the all in all, the everything that is?
You are affecting the all in all right now. You can never not affect the all in all. You are affecting it because you are a part of it. What you do, it does, especially that part of it that is in close proximity to you.
Okay, I get it. So that's why the world now needs many masters, or at least many people willing to begin the journey to mastery. Because such an upshift in the vibration of life energy can change the direction in which humanity itself is now heading.
Correct. And this is where you come in. You and all others who choose now to be on humanity's team. The moment has arrived for all of you to step into your own mastery. For I have placed you all on the earth to be good stewards, and the time for stewardship is at hand. And the first thing of which you must be stewards is the truth. You must be the ultimate stewards of the truth of your being.
What does that mean?
To be a steward of the truth of your being means to protect that truth and never let it be lost or forgotten. It means to speak that truth and never let it go unsaid about you or anything or anyone. It means to live that truth and never let it die for lack of your having given it life in and through you. Then you must be stewards of each other. You must choose to care for each other and guard each other and protect each other and help each other and guide each other and recognize each other. I've said to you before that to recognize means to recognize. That is to know again. And so you must know each other again. For once you know each other again as who you really are, all self-injury will end, and all self-healing will begin. All of this reduces itself to one word: love. That is the new level of consciousness to which you are called. You are called to experience a level of consciousness in which you are that. You are love. I say again, the invitation to stewardship is the invitation to love. For to be a steward is to care for something, and to love is to care for something too. Therefore, love the truth. Love each other. Love your home, the earth. And love me. For if you love me, you will love all the rest. For I am that. And there is nothing that I am not. And do not worry about whether people believe that you are having an actual conversation with God or a conversation with yourself. You and I know that they are one and the same. There is no God separate from you.